Mercury, the planet of communication and travel and networking, now is going to be entering the Earth sign of Taurus on May 15th. It's going to stay here until June 3rd, 2024. Now, we're going to be able to shift the way that we talk, communicate, share ideas, travel. While Mercury was in Aries, we acted, we spoke on impulse. Everything was quick and rapid fire because Aries is a fire sign. It wants to initiate. Mercury, while there, crossed over our Chiron, which is our personal wound, and it eclipsed areas of our life and brought up areas in order for us to communicate how we are going to transform and heal through these things. Now that the eclipses, they brought this laser focus to this area of all topics revolving around your identity and how you communicate. Now in Taurus, the energy is going to be more slow, more grounded. It's going to be calmer in the way that we communicate. It's going to be more down to earth, solid, stable. You're going to be interested in like strategizing with other people, with networking. You're going to have this patience. You're going to see the difference in the way that you communicate because it's going to be more deliberate. You're going to want to network with specific people that your mind is going to be more focused on your five senses and bringing these topics in. You might prefer traditional and tried and true approaches over any new forms of thinking when you are brainstorming with other people. I do caution you because this can lead to rigid thoughts or being overly conservative. I'm going to encourage you to be open to communicate and share with others at this time and expect topics like your finances, your money, your resources, you being self-sufficient, your material items to now move to the forefront of your thoughts at this time. Hi, I'm Patricia Tate, and this is your Mercury and Taurus astrology forecast. To get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. Now let's dive in. So for Aries Sun and Aries Rising, Mercury has just moved out of your first house of self. It was about you expressing everything that had to do with your identity, your thoughts, your self-expression, your vitality, your strength. Now that Mercury is moving into the sign of Taurus, I want to draw your attention to the stellium here. We have the Sun and Jupiter and Uranus and Venus all with Mercury. This is a lot of energy having focus on your money, your resources, your movable property, things that you need in order to feel secure about yourself. The second house represents your work ethic. It represents your self-esteem, your spending goals, your mental and emotional, spiritual needs of what you need in order to also feel secure. Who do you surround yourself in order to feel secure? So now that Mercury is moving into the second house, Mercury rules over your third house. This is important because all of these planets in your second house are now going to shift into the third house as the month goes on. So your third and sixth house. The third house represents who you communicate with on a daily basis. Your neighbors, your siblings, your cousins. It represents classes that you're taking, places that you travel to. The third house represents where we formulate our thoughts and our language. It represents types of media. The third house is like gossiping and transportation, and it's about building relationships. So we know that you are going to be wanting to communicate and build stable relationships as you move forward. Now, Mercury also is a ruler of Virgo. Virgo rules your sixth house of your daily habits. What do you need on a daily basis for self-care? It's also your service to others. How can I take care of others? What can I share with others? First, needing to take care of self. So these two main topics are going to link in with what Mercury is doing in your second house of self-worth. So I want to bring your attention to the first transit that I want to share with you, and that is on May 17th. So on May 17th, we now have Mercury in a square with Pluto. Pluto is the planet of birth, death, and rebirth. It's the planet of transformation. It is currently stationed retrograde. So we know that in order to move forward with Pluto, Pluto says something has to die off, something has to be given up. You cannot move forward. This is retrograde, meaning we're going within with this information. It's in your 11th house of your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your goals, who you network with. The 11th house represents who you connect up with, like your star family, or it represents your access to like people who will help you or are on the same path as you. It's like your peers or your work associates. It's also people that you share with in society, like where I go and I volunteer, or groups and networks that I join, like an astrology club or a bowling league or a book club. So Pluto here is now stationing retrograde, saying you have to go within. You can't move forward with everything that you've got, and something has to be given up. Something has to be removed in order for there to be this growth. Squares are meant to bring attention to these two areas of your life in order for it to be integrated. It's not about giving up of one for the other. It's how do I work with both of these areas and integrate this new information in order to move forward with. And remember, we're still bringing in the themes that have to do with who you communicate with on a daily basis, all types of technology and science. All right, so let's move on to the 27th. So as we get to the 27th, I want you to look at the pileup that is now occurring in your third house. Now we have the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter really highlighting this area of your life and adding to the flavor of Mercury. Mercury saying, I'm still here. I want to help you communicate. I want there to be tried and true approaches to what we are doing. Something that has to do with growing my money, my resources, my connections to people, my skill set. The second house represents your values, your opinions. Mercury is now in a sextile to Saturn. I love this because Saturn is the taskmaster or the timekeeper of the zodiac. It says you have to put in the work. A sextile is a harmonious aspect that the two planets are now working together. So Saturn in your 12th house is you doing the inner work. The 12th house is self-sabotage, it's imprisonment, it is affliction, it's institutions. It's also the connection to the divine, connection to spirit guides, angels, the Akashic records. It is the inner world work that we do for the deep journeys and the transcendence and the inner healing. It's our connection to the divine, and it also represents where we have this self-sacrifice and things that take us away from others. And so Saturn here is working with you to release yourself from where you withdraw and move forward with how can I tap into this other information, the spiritual realm, my intuition, my guides. How can I tap into this and use this in order to communicate what I need for security? And so I love this aspect. All right, then we're going to move forward to the 31st. We now have Mercury conjunct Uranus. So we're taking everything that we're working on this month, and now there's this conjunction with Uranus. Remember that Uranus is known as the great liberator. Uranus is about unexpected surprises, a stroke of genius, these aha moments. And so everything that you've been working on with the Sun and Venus and Jupiter moving into your third house of how you communicate, who you communicate, science, technology, sharing and exchanging these ideas, these thoughts. Now there's this surprise connection, this aha, I get it. I love all of this in that it's saying all of the work that you're putting in, it's now offering you this opportunity of that's why I have been doing this. That's why I was meant to meet this person. That is why. Uranus brings this aha moment where it's an unexpected surprise, and you can't plan on it. Uranus, there is no planning with Uranus. Everything that you think is going to happen, Uranus like shocks you and says, no, this is really what I meant. It's the surprise guest at the party that nobody knew was coming, and then everything is, it still turns out good from it. So we know that whatever is going on with what you're trying to set up for yourself, it's about freedom and liberation and technology and science and all these connections that you are making and how to bring them together with everything that's going on in your third house of on a daily basis, sharing this information with others and how I'm connecting with them and speeding up the process, but making it solid, stable, reliable, and comfortable. So Aries, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays where I offer full moon and new moon astrology consultations. And please check out my new offering of transit talks. You can check out that at my website, willowgracemystic.com, or in the community section. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, I absolutely love this for you because this is in your first house of self. Everything is going to be about you, talking, communicating, sharing ideas. This could be a turnover with your business or your website or a project that you're starting. This is about you being seen. It's your outlook on life. This is an opportunity for you to tap into everything that has to do with your interests, your desires, and communicating them with other people. Now, there's a stellium here with Mercury and Venus and Uranus, the Sun, and Jupiter. This is a lot of energy, all in the first house of self, really pushing you outside of your comfort zone, saying, I'm going to be changing, evolving, growing, and that includes the way that I communicate. Now, Mercury rules over your second house of your self-worth, your cash, your property, your values, everything that has to do with your money, your resources, your skill set. This includes your mental and emotional and spiritual resources also. Like, what do you need in order to feel secure? And what do you have available in order for you to feel secure? The second house is your attitude towards money. It's really important because all of the planets in your first house are now going to slide into the second. Now, Mercury also rules over your fifth house of children or creativity or creative projects. It's the house where we want to take these risks. It's about love and where we connect with others and where we make investments. So let's move on to the first aspect. So on May 17th, Mercury is now going to be in a square with the planet of Pluto. Remember, squares are opportunities where it's difficult and it wants us to integrate the energy that's pushing for a change. So Mercury, we know that we have to do with communication, travel, memory, intellect, and in the sign of Taurus, it's about being slow and practical and methodical and determined and connecting it to the material world. And so you're going to be slow to make these decisions. You're going to need time to think and process. You're going to want a stable plan. And then here we have Pluto at the top of your chart. Pluto requires us to make a sacrifice. It requires us to, since it's birth, death, and rebirth, something has to die out because it says we cannot transform this because this is we can't move forward with this. Pluto is currently retrograde. So we know that you're going to be going within. This is going back in time or going back within yourself. The 10th house represents your career, your life path, your public life, your reputation, you being seen in the outside world and being at some form of a conflict over this and being slow to make some decisions and needing to be the 10th house represents everything that you want to achieve and your responsibilities and these potential opportunities that are there for you, but you having to work out how can I make these slow, methodical decisions and still be effective in the way that I'm communicating them. Remember, I'm encouraging you to be open to new opportunities as you branch off and share ideas with others, because this is in a harmonious aspect with your second house of your money, your resources. So we know that this is wanting to support you with your finances. It most likely has something to do with job, career, business, or something that you are putting out there into the world that has to do with your work ethic or your self-esteem or your financial condition. All right, the next date I want to draw your attention to is on May 27th. So on May 27th, I want to draw your attention to a couple of things. We now have Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun now in your second house, bringing the attention on your money, your resources, your skill set, in a harmonious aspect with your job, your career, your legacy. But now Mercury is also in a sextile to Saturn. A sextile is a harmonious aspect. Saturn is known as the taskmaster of the zodiac. Saturn wants us to do the work, put in the effort. It requires us to, it keeps time. And it says you have to stay on a schedule. And this is in your 11th house of who are you networking with? Who are you connected with for work and for pleasure? Meaning your work, your peers, and it's where you network, it's your groups, it's literally you connected with other people. That can be through groups or goals or where I volunteer. The 11th house is my hopes, my wishes, my dreams, things that I want to do for fun, and how I connect with them with other people. And so Saturn is saying, look, we have to put in the work. I cannot just be here to just socialize. I need to be doing this in a healthy manner that I need to communicate and I need to share with others. Things that have to do with resources and self-sufficiency, and topics that have to do with creating meaningful connections, meaningful networks that I deliberately put out there that I want to grow, change, and evolve into something that will benefit others, not just self, because Pisces is the world. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it doesn't think just of itself. It thinks of the world or the universe. All right, then the next date that I want to draw your attention to is on the 31st. So on May 31st, we now have Mercury in a conjunction with Uranus. This is where they're pooling their energy together. They're connecting together to really magnify it. Now, Uranus is the wild card. Uranus is unexpected surprise. It's a stroke of genius. Think outside the box. I didn't know that was going to happen. Whatever we try to plan for Uranus really surprises us. So we know that there's going to be something about the way that you communicate or who you're communicating with that is solid, stable, reliable, with a lot of common sense. And now you're going to have this stroke of genius, or now you're going to have this opportunity to think outside the box. This could have to do with your ego or your self-intent. Remember, the first house represents your business card, your website. It's how you're presenting yourself to the world. So there could be something shocking and surprising and this aha moment about what you want to share with others. All right, so I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. For more, please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer full moon and new moon astrology consultations. And please join me for my new Transit Talk webinars that I'm going to be offering once a month. They will be on the opposite Tuesdays. You can sign up for that at my website, willowgracemystic.com, or you can find the link in the community section. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Gemini Sun and Gemini Rising, this is important because Mercury is your chart ruler, and Mercury has just moved into your 12th house. Now the 12th house for you represents being isolated, being withdrawn, being hidden, doing the inner work. It represents self-sabotage and affliction, but it also means connecting to the divine, your ancestors, your spirit guides, your dreams. The 12th house represents rest and retreat and going within. It's your shadow self. It's the personal unconscious. It means that we can tap into our Akashic records or our past lives or anything that has to do with what we do alone. The 12th house represents doing the inner healing and the deep journeys for transcendence or connection to spirit, higher power, or divine. Now, Mercury is your chart ruler, so we know that this has everything to do with the work that you are working on for yourself. It's really important because as the month goes on, you're going to see all of these planets move into your first house, knowing that something is going on. There's this change, this evolution, this growth that's going on with you, your personality, your vitality, your habits, your strengths, your image. The first house represents literally your business card, your website. It's who you want to present to the world. It's your outlook, and it's what you show others about you. It's your self-interest. And so Mercury also rolls over your fourth house of your home, your family, your roots, your traditions, and things that you need, that you build your life upon, stability. So as we move forward, Mercury governs your mind, your communication, travel, memory, intellect, and it's connecting more to the spiritual realm and doing the inner work, like connecting to dreams. Taurus, the bull, is very slow and methodical. So this could also be you taking classes or workshops or doing things alone or in private, wanting to be connected to both the material realm and the spiritual realm. Being slow to make these decisions and needing time to think, meditate, process the information, wanting a stable, reliable plan, wanting your interactions with others to be very purposeful during this transit this month, and having less drama and less distraction in your life, like needing a Zen den or needing a place to go and retreat and meditate and collect your thoughts. So as we move forward, I want to bring your attention to May 17th. On May 17th, we have Mercury now in a square with Pluto. Remember that squares are opportunities to integrate the energy. They are hard aspects. It's a 90-degree angle. Mercury, everything that we've just discussed here. Now Pluto. Pluto is the planet that's birth, death, rebirth, and transformation. It is currently stationed retrograde, meaning going within. Pluto requires a sacrifice, a cutting, a removing of something dying out in order for there to be a rebirth of the process. And so this has something to do with your ninth house, that it's classes and workshops and diving into religion, diving into spirituality, legal matters. The ninth house represents foreign people, places, and things. And this could be saying, you need to stop, pause, not take any more classes, maybe go back and look at some classes or go back and look at some workshops. Go back and really take a look at it and understand it better. It's like a reconnection of, or a rebirth, or an understanding of. Pluto going within really says, I cannot transform until we move past this point. So it's integrating your inner world that you're not able to, or that you're not sharing with others, and your connection to other people, places, and things. The ninth house has to do with universities and legal things and publishing and writing and journaling, and it has everything to do with rituals and morals and ceremonies. And so there could be this opportunity for you to go back, gain more information, or go back over some information or these connections that you already have in order to integrate what you know in order to move forward with what you want to do. Now, the next date that I want to draw your attention to is the 27th. So on the 27th, I want you to take a look at your first house of self, because now you have Jupiter here, Venus, the sun, really highlighting everything that has to do with you. You are now in the spotlight, but Mercury is still in your 12th house. This time, it's in a harmonious aspect with Saturn. I love all of this for you because Saturn is considered to be the taskmaster of the zodiac. Saturn is the timekeeper. It's where we have to do the work in order to move forward with what we want to do. Now, Mercury, still in your 12th house, you communicating, you doing the shadow work, you connecting with your higher power, you sitting, you meditating, and your thoughts and ideas and everything that has to do with you is like really racing, because Gemini like Gemini in your first house is, it's everything about you. Like this is like everybody's seeing everything, and it has to do with your home. So we know that it's a lot going on, and you still wanting to work from the shadows a little bit, wanting to be within, and having a place where you can compose your thoughts and quiet the voices or quiet what's going on in your mind. Saturn in Pisces is just the planet that's offering this sextile to offer this. Saturn in your 10th house represents you as an authority figure. Authority figures noticing you, seeing you, assisting you. The 10th house represents everything that has to do with your career, your job, your legacy, you being seen in the outside world. The 10th house represents your responsibilities. It's your reputation, your professional life, it's at the top of your chart. And so it's you up here and everybody else noticing you for being up there. You being the boss of some things, you being an authority figure, authority figures noticing you. And so what are you learning? What are you working on? What are you sharing? What are you communicating with authority figures? Bringing this in to change and shift with science, technology, email, phone, text, everything that has to do with communication, like speeding up the process of communication, sharing these ideas. All of this is coming together to change and shift the image of who you are. Then I want to draw your attention to the 31st. So on May 31st, you're going to have a Uranus conjunct Venus. Now, when two planets come together, they call it a conjunction, and this is where they combine their energy to magnify the impact of what is going on. Remember that Mercury rules who you are, and we know that this is all about you and the communication and things that have to do with home. This could do with past lives. Like it's everything that you do within shadow work and releasing yourself from like karma and generational trauma and like everything that has been done alone and private. Now, Uranus is called the Great Awakener. It is about unexpected surprises. It's the stroke of genius. It's the aha moment. These two together is this connection to, I get it. I understand it. I know what I have to do now. I know where I'm going now. I now understand what this means. It clears up the conversations that you're having and gives you this opportunity for your mind to have a place to move forward with, a connection to. And it's unexpected. You cannot plan on it. It's memory, intellect, and wanting to have this slow and steady growth, connecting your spiritual realm to the earthly realm, and Uranus being the one that says, surprise, shock, let's look at this. And then you saying, I get it. I have this aha, great idea moment. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm going to move forward with. So Gemini, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. Also, please join me for my new Transit Talk webinars that I'm going to be hosting once a month on the opposite Tuesdays. And please, for a private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising, Mercury is now moving into your 11th house of who are you networking with? What are your hopes and your wishes and your dreams and goals, and creating these solid, stable, reliable connections with others. I want to draw your attention to this huge stellium, this big buildup. A stellium is when we have more than one planet or more than 3 planets in a house. And so Jupiter is here. The Sun, Uranus, Venus, and Mercury, all saying, let's draw your attention to who you network with, my social groups, my teams, the peers. This could be through work or through pleasure or through wanting to volunteer. Now, Mercury rules over your 12th house. Your 12th house is your dreams. It's self-isolation, self-sabotage. It's also where we go for hospitalizations or institutions. It's also where we go to for connection to the divine, connection to spirit. It's where we go within for rest, spiritual retreats, recovery, inner healing, transcendence, self-sacrifice. The 12th house is what pulls us away from where we are, from like everyday life, so we can do the inner work in order to transcend and connect to the spiritual realm. Mercury also rules over your third house of communication with siblings and neighbors and cousins and short distance travel. And the third house represents like where you formulate your thoughts, these ideas that come to you. It's language. It's also media and all types of conversation that can be through email, phone, text, AI, anything that has to do with like transportation or gossip or forms of communication. And I want to throw in here that we're going to be adding in new forms of communication. So knowing that all of this is going to be part of the story, I want to bring you to May 17th. On May 17th, we're going to have Mercury in a square with the planet of Pluto. So all of this is going to be going on. We're going to be starting something new, moving forward with it. And then Pluto is in your 8th house. Your 8th house is the house of birth, death, rebirth, transformation. It's other people's resources. It's alimony, child support, cash, property that you have shared with other people. This can be business partners. This could be marital partners. This could be family if you share property or you share these deep connections with. Now, Pluto is currently stationed retrograde, meaning you're going to be going within. Pluto means that we have to let go of something. Pluto says that we cannot move forward with the way things are. It cuts and removes them and says, this is the way, this is the light, this is what you have to do. You have to get rid of all of the weeds in order for these plants to grow. Now, Pluto being birth, death, and rebirth in the 8th house of birth, death, and transformation is quite comfortable here. The 8th house meaning I have to get rid of this debt. I have to pay off this debt. I have to get rid of this. I have to cut this connection or sever this connection that I have with this person, or I have to limit this connection that I have with this person. Remember that the 8th house is the house of debts, obligations, taxes, inheritances, wills, insurance. It's the occult, it's sex. The 8th house represents psychological, it's our savings and bankruptcy and our losses and personal sacrifice. And it's also healed through the transformation of doing the work. So if you owe in this house, this is going to be a square that says, I have to get rid of this in order for this to move forward. I have to release myself. I have to finish this. I have to pay off this debt. I have to finish this contract. I have to do this for my best and highest good in order to grow and transform. This is what is holding me back. This connection to family or this connection to exes or this, it's a person, place, or thing. And it's about you having to do the work and knowing what it is. And squares are meant for you to integrate the energy. It's you saying, I have to do this in order to get this because it's going to change both areas of your life. As we move forward, on May 27th, I want you to notice that all of this energy that we've been talking about, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, is now moving into your 12th house. Your 12th house being the hidden realm. Remember, it's where we go within and connect to spirit or divine or our ancestors, the Akashic records, the astral travel, astral projection, anything that's done alone. The 12th house is also, it's where we go for rest and retreat, and it's doing the inner healing, taking the time out to making sure that my mental, physical, spiritual health and well-being are taken care of, and me having to make sure that I do that. Now, Mercury at this time is in a harmonious aspect to Saturn. Saturn is considered to be like the taskmaster or the timekeeper of the zodiac. It's like an authoritarian. It can also be you being seen as the authority figure. It's where we have to do the work in order to move forward. It requires us to be diligent. So Saturn being in this harmonious aspect with Mercury is these groups that you belong to, these networks, or teaching, or taking classes, taking workshops, something that has to do with legal matters, publishing things. You're combining your resources from both of these houses. That means foreign people, places, and things, these cross-cultural experiences, and working together to network with where do you want to go, with what you want to achieve. It's this positive aspect of these great connections that you have put in the time to get to know, because Mercury governs mind, communication, thoughts, ideas, memory, travel, intellect, and Taurus is about being slow and practical, methodical, connecting things from the material realm to the spiritual realm, being slow to make these decisions and wanting a stable plan. Saturn wants stable, reliable, and things that will grow over time in the sign of Pisces, not just for yourself, but for the universe. And so this is less drama, less distraction, and how can I build upon these relationships? How can I work with these people, or take this class, or dive into this religion, dive into this spirituality, finish what I was doing, making slow, methodical steps towards my goals. Then on May 31st. So on May 31st, we now have Mercury conjunct Uranus. Now, Uranus is considered to be the great awakener. It is shock and surprise. It is the stroke of genius. It's unexpected. It's electric and lightning. Remember, Mercury rules over your 12th house, and it rules over the way that you're communicating. And so in your 11th house, this could be, oh my gosh, I didn't know you knew this. I didn't know this connection to this person was this. It could be somebody sharing something with you, or you sharing something with somebody. The 11th house represents these networks of where you are connected with other people, either through volunteering or through work or through fun, enjoyment, and pleasure, like creative things like a book club. And so there will be this aha moment, this great gift, this stroke of genius. It's an idea, and it's going to benefit you and shift your perspective and shift your direction of where you move forward with the way that you're communicating. It could be upping your level of communication with science or technology, like using AI, or just communication in general. So Cancer, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com. And please join me for my new Transit Talk webinars that I'm going to be offering on the opposite Tuesdays once a month. To find out more information about that, check out the community section or join my website. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Leo Sun and Leo Rising, we now have Mercury at the top of your chart. So amazing for you, because I want to draw attention to, you have Jupiter here, you have the Sun, you have Uranus, you have Venus, and now Mercury is joining this Taurus party. And so everything has been about your job, your career, authority figures. The 10th house is where we want to make our mark on society. It's our legacy of what we want to leave behind. The 10th house is our social status. It's about promotions and success and achievement and responsibilities. It's authority figures seeing us and wanting to connect with us. Now, Mercury rules over your 11th house of your networks. These networks can be to reach a goal. They can be through work. They can be for joy and pleasure, like a book club or a social gathering or a friendship group. Mercury also rules over your second house of your self-worth, your cash, your property, it's your values, your opinions, your income. It's what belongs to you and your financial condition, your spending goals. So we know that Mercury is ruling over both of these areas of your life, bringing in topics that have to do with you and your career, you being seen your what you want to achieve, or what the legacy of what you want, the mark that you want to make on society. All right, so as we move forward, I want to draw your attention to May 17th. So on May 17th, we're going to have Mercury in a square with the planet of Pluto. Now, remember that squares are opportunities to integrate. They're hard aspects. It means both of these areas of your life, they're not meshing real well. And something has to change and evolve and grow in order for there to be transformation to take effect. So we have Pluto. Pluto is the planet of birth, death, and rebirth. It's the planet of letting go, and it wants to plant the seeds, but you have to get rid of all the crabgrass in order for the plant to grow. It's in your 7th house, and it's currently stationed retrograde. So we know that this has to be with you going within to figure this out. The 7th house represents you in connection to others. It's your 1+1 house. It's best friends, significant others, life partner, business partner, clients, open enemies, exes. I'm adding that in there because this is a square. Something needs to be integrated. What do you need to let go or release of in order for you to be able to transform who you're going to be in the outside world with what you want to communicate? Mercury governs all forms of your mind, communication, travel, memory, your intellect, and you are wanting to be slow, practical, determined, and methodical in your thoughts and ideas at this time. And so what can come with this is not being open to other people's points of view, you having to come up with new ways of thinking, these new opportunities to say, how can I integrate this? How will this benefit me for my finances, my resources, me to be more self-sufficient, my material items? Now, in order for this to happen, you're going to have to make some changes in one area of your life in order to integrate both areas of your life with this transit. Then as we move forward, I want to draw your attention to the 27th. So on May 27th, we now have all of these planets, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, now moving into the sign of Gemini, really enhancing the way that you're communicating. Remember, Mercury rules over the sign of Gemini, this area of your life, of your goals, of your networks, you finding the right people to be with. This could be with volunteering and finding that group that really fills my soul. This could also be with you connecting with other people that will move you up that ladder of what you want to do, like for your career, for your job. Now, Mercury is now in a harmonious aspect with the planet of Saturn. Now, Saturn is considered to be the timekeeper, the taskmaster. It's like an authoritarian. It's kind of like the boss that says, do it right, has you doing things repeatedly until it's done right. It's creating something slow and steady over time that will be more than just the now. It will be something for over time. Your 8th house represents your shared resources that you have with other people. This could be with marital partners, business partners, family. The 8th house is alimony, child support, debt, taxes, wills. It's also the house of the occult and sex, and it's the house of joint ventures and private affairs, things that we don't share with other people. These comments, the who you share it with and how you share are kept private or kept on the down low. So now we have this harmonious aspect of a sextile saying, I didn't know that you knew this, or I didn't know that, and you sharing information with them sharing information with you. This could benefit you for money and resources. This could benefit you for contracts or these. Remember that it's about insurance and your savings and bankruptcy and losses and transformation and doing this inner healing and you connecting with other people that can support you with these topics. And it's taboo topics. All right, so then as we move forward, I want to talk to you about May 31st. So on May 31st, we now have Mercury in a conjunction to Uranus. So we still have all of this going on, amping up the energy of who you're connecting with, how you're connecting, reaching your goals, your networks, and having these deeper connections with other people in order for you to, like it's society, it's collaboration with others where you want to volunteer, or work associates, or like your star family. Now, Mercury conjunct Uranus. Whenever two planets are conjunct, that means they are combining their energy. They're close together, sharing the same degree, magnifying the information that's now going to come from it. So we know that Mercury is all forms of your mind and travel and intellect and the way that you communicate and wanting to be slow and practical and determined. And then here comes Uranus. Uranus is unexpected surprises, a stroke of genius. I didn't think about that. I didn't know about this. Your 10th house is also authority figures. So this could be an authority figure, you connecting with them, or you being the authority figure, or it could be awards, or it could be your reputation. Shock, surprise, think outside the box. You can try and plan for it, but it always offers you something else that moves you forward. It shakes you up where you have been stable. And think about it. Uranus is electric and Taurus is earth. And so it's an earthquake. It's an earthquake to this area of your life, shocking and surprising, but offering you these gifts and opportunities that will come from the growth. So Leo, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. Also, you can join me. I'm offering a new transit talks it's a transit talk webinar that's going to be on the opposite Tuesday once a month, and you can get updates on that in the community section, or you can go to willowgracemystic.com, and to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Virgo Sun and Virgo Rising, Mercury is now entering into your 9th house. It's really important because Mercury rules over your career sector. It rules over your first house of self. So we know that wherever Mercury goes in the chart, it's a direct reflection on who you are, your job, your voice as an authority figure. The 10th house represents your social status, where you want to make your mark on society. And your first house represents your outlook, you being seen, your appearance, your image, your website, your business card. So Mercury, now clustered with this huge stellium of Jupiter and the Sun and Uranus and Venus, all in your 9th house of magnifying, taking a class, taking a workshop, teaching something, traveling somewhere. The 9th house is the cross-cultural experiences. It's these opportunities to meet with other people, places that are farther away, and connecting with them. Mercury governs our mind, our communication, and its travel, and it's our thoughts and ideas and our memory. And in the sign of Bull, it's moving into being slow and steady and methodical about what I want to create, what I want to share, and my thoughts and my ideas. And so what can come from this are opportunities to communicate and share with others. It's you being slow to make some decisions and needing time to think and process, and taking, it could be publishing things. Remember, this is also the house of legal matters. And so there's all these ways that you are going to want to be slow and steady and methodical. And this could be with your money and your finances and wanting to be self-sufficient. And I'm encouraging you to keep an open mind, because in the sign of Taurus, we can get kind of stubborn and set in our ways. Okay, so on May 17th is the first transit that I want to draw your attention to. Now, you have Mercury here, and it's in a square with Pluto. Remember, squares are hard aspects. It's at a 90-degree angle. It's about integrating the energy. You cannot do one and then the other, and it's not giving up of one and then the other. Pluto is currently retrograde, meaning you're going to have to go within for the transformation. Pluto is the planet of birth, death, rebirth, and transformation. It is slow and steady and growth over a long period of time. Pluto wants you to let go and release. It's about cutting and removing and letting go and release in order for the seeds to be planted to grow. So now we have this opportunity of you communicating, taking a class or sharing a class, or who you're connected with, and your daily habits. The sixth house represents not just how you take care of yourself. It's like your self-care. It's where we go to get information like mentors and guides, and who we share with, like our relationship with our coworkers, our job, our workplace. And so going within and saying, I have to have some limits on this. The sixth house is the balance between your home and your work, and needing to have serious balance. You saying, I have to have this balance between my home and my work life. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself before I can give to others. And it's also transforming, what does that self-care look like? And what does the care that you give to others look like? All right, then I want to move forward to May 27th. So on May 27th, we're now going to have Mercury in a sextile. So, and I want to draw your attention to this little beautiful pile up. You have the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter now entered into Gemini, the ruler of Mercury, magnifying everything that's going on with your career, your job, your legacy, your first house of self. The 10th house is also like where you want to make your mark on society, but it's success, it's achievement, it's responsibilities, it's business related. And the first house is how people see you, your strength, your habits, and this is going to be in a trine to your first house of self, and Mercury is the ruler of your 10th house. So all of this is supporting you with where you're going and what you're wanting to do. Now at this time, Mercury is going to be in a harmonious sextile with Saturn. Saturn is in your 7th house of partnerships, relationships, your one-on-one. It's the one-on-one house of business partner, significant other, best friends, clients, one-on-one relationships that have to do with contracts, love, negotiation. The 7th house is where we have these promises and we talk and we share these ideas with other people. Saturn, being the taskmaster of the Zodiac, builds something that's sustainable over a longer period of time. It's about putting in the work and making sure that those connections are stable, reliable, and connected over a longer period of time, not just fluffy and like watery and everything dissolves. Then I want to draw your attention to May 31st. So on May 31st, we are going to have Mercury in a conjunction with Uranus. So Mercury, again, I'm reminding you, everything has to do with you being seen and your career. And now Mercury, your thoughts, your ideas, your communication, your travel, your intellect, and in the sign of the bull. The bull, like Taurus, is slow and steady and methodical, and it's connecting the spiritual realm to the material realm, and wanting to be slow with your decisions and needing time to think and process these ideas or these communications that you're having with people that are further away, or people that are in a class or a workshop or legal matters. The 9th house is foreign people, places, and things, and it's cross-cultural experiences that you're having with others. It's also diving into religion and diving into spirituality, and you wanting to have this stable plan. And along comes Uranus. Uranus is unexpected, surprise, stroke of genius. Uranus is the great awakener. It's about liberating. Uranus is like a electrical, like a lightning bolt, and Taurus is the earth. So I want you to think earthquake, and this will really shake up things in your life in order for you to see things in a different light. So Virgo, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com, and join me live for my new transit talk webinars that I'm going to be offering on the off Tuesday once a month. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Libra Sun and Libra Rising, Mercury has now entered into your 8th house of your shared resources, your shared debt, and it's joining this stellium here. So a stellium is 3 or more planets that are in a house that are accentuating or magnifying the energy of that part of your life. So we have the Sun and Jupiter and Uranus and Venus and now Mercury. Mercury it governs your mind and communication and your memory and your intellect and your thoughts and your ideas and its contracts. And Mercury rules over your 9th house, and Mercury also rules over your 12th house. So we're going to bring in the topics of resources that you share with other people. This could be with business partners, this can be with exes, this can be with marital partners, this could be resources that you have with family members that you like, debt or wills. The 8th house represents insurance or private affairs. It's where you desire to have these deep connections, and Mercury wanting to communicate this. Now, your 9th house are cross-cultural experiences and wanting to have work published and taking a class and diving into religion and spirituality. It's like, I want to travel there. I want to study that. I want to understand it. And Virgo is your 12th house of I need alone time, I need rest, I need retreat, I need to go within and process how all of this sits with me. The 12th house is self-sabotage, but it's also where we go to tune in and tune out, tune into ourself and tune out of the outside world in order to process things that are going on through dreams or through the Akashic records or ancestors or guides or angels. It's you tuning into your divine. Now, let's talk about May 17th. On May 17th, you're going to have Mercury in a square with Pluto. Now, squares are difficult aspects in that they're a 90-degree angle. They're a hard aspect that the energy has to be integrated. There's a lesson to be learned. Pluto is stationed retrograde, meaning it's going back over an area of your life, reviewing it. And so Pluto really represents transformation, death, rebirth, a letting go, a cutting away of. And so your 5th house is where I've taken a risk, love affairs, children, creativity. The 5th house is where we find love and we make these investments and we gamble and we have this creative self-expression. It's where we play. And so we now have this difficult aspect of what do I let go of? What do I release? What do I cut free in order for me to move forward with the way that I'm communicating and being slow and practical and methodical and wanting to connect my spiritual realm with the earthly realm. The 8th house is taboo topics. And so this could have something to do with topics that are brought up that that we're not seeing eye to eye on. This is the house of love affairs, and the 8th house is the house of also sex. So it could have something to do with a partner like that, or it could have something to do with your children, like moving out of the house or graduating or doing something where they are no longer your responsibility. Or this could have to do with a creative project. Because remember, this has to do also, I want you to always link it back to you traveling and taking classes and publishing and 12th house going within and incorporating this energy. All right, then on May 27th, we have the Sun and Venus and Jupiter. We talked about this moving into your 9th house. This is really important because Mercury is the ruler of this house. It's the ruler of Gemini. So we know that whatever you're starting, whatever you're working through, whatever you are, like the debt that you're paying off, the connections that you're making with these shared resources, the obligations, the taxes, the inheritances, the wills, the diving in and communicating about topics that are not they're taboo. We don't share them with everybody. And you wanting to communicate and network with others deliberately with where you want to go. So Mercury is now in a harmonious aspect with the planet of Saturn. So Saturn is the timekeeper. Saturn is the taskmaster that says you have to do the work. In order to move forward, you have to do this work. Saturn is in your 6th house of your everyday daily habits of taking care of yourself before you can take care of others. Saturn in Pisces is, here is the mountain. You want to attain spirituality and earthly, like material and spiritual connections. You want to communicate and network deliberately with others of what you have to offer and sharing this with others. And Saturn says, do the work. Take care of yourself first. Make sure that you have these good daily habits. But it also says you can go to somebody who's an authority figure. This could be a mentor, a guide, a counselor, a shaman. This could be a healthcare practitioner of receiving Reiki, a chiropractor, anything that has to do with self-care and finding this balance between home and work and making sure that you are looking at ways in order to nurture yourself and also coming up with strategies of how can I nurture others. This sextile says that I have everything available. I just have to make it work. I have to make the connections. Nothing is given. I have to be able to notice what's here, not being too rigid in my thoughts and being too conservative. My topics of finances, resources, self-sufficiency, all of these topics can come to the surface of wanting to have this connection with a stable plan with others that is purposeful, with less drama and less distraction, with whatever it is that you are creating or moving forward with. The 8th house being the transformation of, it's you taking these connections that you have with other people that are, this is the house of deep bonding. So this is deep connections that you have with other and transforming them so that they can last over a longer period of time. All right, then as we move forward to the 31st, I want you to notice that Mercury is now conjunct Uranus. Now, Mercury, remember, we are tying it to everything that's going on in your 9th house of cross-cultural experiences, foreign people, places, things, and publishing and journaling and using science, using technology, these great aha moments, and your 12th house of going within and Uranus is considered to be the great awakener. It's about surprise and it's a stroke of genius and it's unexpected. Uranus is like a lightning bolt and Mercury in Taurus is Earth. So this is an earthquake that will shake up this area of your life in order to offer you liberation in forms of contracts, negotiations, taxes, inheritances, your bills. Like this could be, I'm released from this, or I receive this money from this, or I now have a connection to this, or this makes sense. Uranus conjunct Mercury will really, it's about having your mind spinning with, oh my gosh, this is liberation, this is freedom, and I didn't think about this, I didn't know this, and what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So Libra, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer full moon and new moon astrology consultations. So check out my new offering of Transit Talk webinar. You can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com, and to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Scorpio Sun and Scorpio Rising, Mercury is now moving into your 7th house of partnerships, your relationships, your one-on-one. So this is important because you have this huge stellium really drawing attention to this area of your life. You have Jupiter, the Sun, Uranus, Venus, and now Mercury. Mercury rules over your 8th house of your shared resources, the contracts that you've negotiated that are with other people. It's debt and wills. And this house is really important because all of these planets are now going to start moving into this house. Mercury also rules over your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your goals, and who you network with in order to move forward with those goals. This could be with work, networking. This could be where you want to volunteer, but it's who you share your thoughts and ideas with, your like star family or your connection with others that I want to volunteer because this makes me feel good. The 11th house is your group affiliations or your group connections that you have to do with others. So we know that Mercury moving into this house is going to activate both of those areas of your life. So the seventh house represents like business partners, significant others, clients, best friends, one-on-one relationships, your open enemies and exes. And I bring up the open enemies and exes because the first aspect that I want to talk about is Mercury is now going to be in a square on May 17th with the planet of Pluto. Pluto is the planet of birth, death, and rebirth. It's the planet of transformation. It requires you to cut and sever something in order to remove it, in order to grow and evolve. Squares are where we have to integrate the energy. A lesson has to be learned. Pluto is currently retrograde, meaning it's going within. So there's some topics that have to do with your home, your family, your foundation, your genealogy, the family people who feel like family, or this could have to do with real estate, or it's property, it's your traditions. The fourth house has to do with your living situation. It's your upbringing. And so we know that there's something going on, that something needs to be cut away, something needs to be removed in order for you to move forward with integrating the changes that are evolving in your partnership sector of your life. We know that you are starting something with Mercury going into Taurus. Mercury governing your mind, your communication and travel, your memory, your intellect, in your connection with love and contracts and negotiations. The seventh house is promises and it's contractual relationships. And so we know that Taurus is very slow and methodical and it's very determined. So creating these connections with others that are slow, methodical, and determined, and in a square with something that has to do with your home, something that has to do with your traditions or your family. And so that has to be integrated because you are wanting less drama. You are wanting less distraction in your life. And so integrate the energy. Something has to be removed in order for you to move forward with the lessons that the rest of this month is going to bring you. As we move forward to May 27th, on May 27th, we now have Mercury in a harmonious aspect to the planet of Saturn. Remember that we're definitely bringing in the topics of your 8th house because now we have the Sun and Venus and Jupiter here. So we have topics of these deep connections that you have with others. This could be with your marriage partner, your business partner. It could be with an ex because of alimony and child support. This could be with family members because it's the house of deep psychological connections with others. The 8th house represents debt and wills, and the 8th house represents retirement and savings, and it's about bankruptcy and losses. But Jupiter is here. So it's like addressing some of these issues in order to plan and move forward. Jupiter is the great benefic, offering you these gifts and these opportunities as you move forward. So now we have Mercury in this harmonious aspect with Saturn. Saturn is considered to be the timekeeper or the taskmaster of the zodiac. A harmonious aspect of a sextile means you have to work for this a little bit. Saturn in your 5th house is love, it's children, it's the house of where I want to take a risk, fun, joy, play, creativity. And so you are going to be communicating with a partner, a business partner, a significant other. This aspect brings in these opportunities to build something, a relationship that's going to be growing over time, of something either that you are creating, a project, somewhere that you want to take a risk, or something that you want to take a risk for, or something that has to do with your children or childlike activities. And so we know that whatever you are working on is then going to be moving towards the 8th house of where you are desiring to have these deep connections with others. And so this could be you meeting somebody, you connecting up with somebody. This could be a business partner or a significant other or a best friend. But the seventh house is the house of love, and it's the house of contracts and negotiations. And this could be for creating a project or taking a risk and meeting somebody or going off and doing something fun. Knowing that Mercury is going to be moving into your eighth house is, I want to make sure that this connection that I have, it could either be for business with finances and resources and creating something that'll last over a longer period of time, or this relationship. I want to take it slow and steady so it will last for the longer, like you want it to be for a longer period of time. The seventh house is also the house of contracts that have to do with business clients and your one-on-one relationships with them. So this is you wanting to connect with others, but having this stable plan and having purposeful interactions that offer you less distractions and less drama as you move forward. And then as we move forward to May 31st. So on May 31st, we now have Mercury conjunct Uranus. Knowing that the same theme that we started the month with is now going to continue on, but now with Uranus. Uranus is shock and surprise. It's the great liberator. Uranus is the stroke of genius and aha, and I didn't think about that. Uranus is like a lightning bolt, and Taurus is like the earth. And so think of this as an earthquake. It's shaking you up and transforming you and the way that you communicate in some way. If you notice, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are in your eighth house. Remember, this is important because it is ruled by Gemini. And so we are looking at what is happening with the way that you're communicating these contracts or these negotiations. The seventh house represents these relationships that you have with other people where we have to have a trust and a connection in order to work with them. And this could bring in somebody, reveal something about somebody, but it's about shaking up the status quo in order to move forward with. So Scorpio, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com, and check out my new offering of Transit Talk webinars. That's on my website, or you can look in the community section. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, you now have Mercury moving into your sixth house of your daily habits. This is the self-care sector of your life. It's where you need to find a balance between home and work. It's where we seek out consultations or information from like an aunt or an uncle or a mentor or a guide or a chiropractor or a healthcare practitioner. It's taking care of ourselves before we take care of others, because the sixth house is, how can I be of service to you? Now there's this huge stellium going on here with Jupiter and the Sun and Uranus and Venus, all having you concentrate on this area of your life. Now what's important about Mercury is Mercury rules over your partnership sector and it rules over your career sector. The partnership sector is really important because all of these planets that are currently in your sixth house are slowly going to shift in the coming days into your partnership sector. So we know that topics revolving around love, contractual obligations, negotiations, compromise, you with a business partner, you with a significant other, you with your best friends, open enemies, exes. The seventh house represents everything that you do that are that involves trust, cooperation, and connection with communication. And so we have Mercury governing your mind, your communication, your memory, and travel. And in the sign of Taurus, you wanting to take things and be slow, practical, methodical in your daily habits, like to create these daily habits and in the way that you're communicating. And then you want to make these slow decisions, and you need time to think and process all of this information. You want this stable plan. You want someone to give you an answer. And these interactions with other people, you're wanting it to be very purposeful and to have less distraction and drama in your life. And that includes partnerships and your career, your job, your legacy, authority figures. The 10th house also represents like your public life and your reputation. So as we move forward to May 17th, on May 17th, we have Mercury in a square with Pluto. So everything that we talked about, knowing that that's the starting point in a square with Pluto. Pluto is currently stationed retrograde, meaning it's going back over an area of your life in your third house of the way that you communicate, who you communicate with, siblings, neighbors. The third house represents how you build these relationships, how you formulate your thoughts, how you formulate language, media, your conversations, the news, transportation. And Pluto requires transformation of cutting away, letting go. So we know that a square is a hard aspect, that it needs to be incorporated. It needs to be integrated. So we know that there's going to be something that needs to be released, cut free, let go in the forms of you communicating with siblings, neighbors, cousins, or with other people, or short distance travel with classes and workshops or things that you see closer to like your neighborhood, in order for you to integrate the things that you want to do on a day-to-day basis in order for you to care for yourself. It's about self-care and your health habits and finding this balance between home and work. So then as we move forward to the 27th, on the 27th, we now have the majority of the planets, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, now in your 7th house, really illuminating, bringing in abundance with this area. But remember, now we have Mercury. How are you communicating this? Having to do with finances and money and resources and sharing with others and material items and moving. All these thoughts are like moving to the forefront of your thoughts and your ideas, because it also has to do with your job, your career, your legacy, your reputation. Now, Mercury is in a harmonious aspect. It's sextiling Saturn. Saturn is in your 4th house of home, family, roots, traditions. The 4th house is your foundation. It's your real estate. It's your property, the people that feel like home. It's your living situation. It's your upbringing. It's basically your family relationships or the dynamics. So now we have this harmonious aspect saying, I need to create these habits, and it needs to start from the home. It needs to, like, I want to build it from the home up, or family can support me with this. The 4th house being everything to have to do with your personal life, whatever you are communicating, wanting to build a solid, stable foundation of which to create these habits to move forward with these connections that you want to have with others, whether they are for business or for pleasure. Then as we move towards May 31st, on May 31st, Mercury is now going to be conjunct Uranus. Remember, Mercury is still ruling over your 7th house of partnership and your 10th house. So we know that those topics are going to be affected by whatever happens now. Mercury, mind, communication, travel, intellect, in the sign of Taurus, slow, practical, determined. Think like Earth, like think stable, think I don't want to have to move. I don't want to have to change. I don't want to have new ways of thinking of things. And then along comes Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. It is unexpected, surprise, stroke of genius, think outside the box. It's electricity. So when electricity and the earth come together, it's kind of like an earthquake. And so this will really shake up some of your daily habits, some of the communication that you have with between your home and your work. The 6th house is how can I be of service to you, but I need to take care of myself first. And so there's going to be this beautiful, harmonious aspect of whatever you are starting, whatever you are beginning, whatever is going on here. It's about liberating you to move forward with new in the ways that you communicate. And this could be using science, technology, AI, new. This could also be new ideas that have to do something with your health, with like an illness, or like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea, I never tried this. Uranus is connecting with everybody else, and it's this idea that comes to you connected from other people. And in the health realm, this is self-care. And so this could be you releasing, ending these old habits, ending something that has to do with illness or poor nutrition, poor diet, or something that has to do with caretaking of others. So Sagittarius, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising, Mercury has now entered into your 5th house of children, of love affairs, of where you're willing to take a risk. The 5th house is the house of creativity. It's creative outlets, and it's self-expression, and it's investments in sports and excitement. Now, it's important because all of these planets are already here. The stellium of Jupiter and the Sun and Uranus and Venus really highlighting this area of your life. Now, Mercury rules over your 6th house of your daily habits. This is important because all of these planets are now going to shift into your 6th house, bringing the whatever started and bringing the awareness into making it a daily habit, taking care of self before I take care of others, making sure that I get into that doctor, or make sure that I get that massage, or take care of myself. The 6th house is mental, physical, spiritual health and well-being, and who do I connect up with in order to receive those services. The 6th house is about nutrition and diet and ending these old health habits. Now, Mercury also rules over your 9th house of, I want to travel there. I want to connect with those people. I want to take that class. I want to publish this. I want to dive into that religion and dive into that spirituality. All of this is putting together the story of what you want to communicate. Mercury governs your mind, your communication, your thoughts, your ideas, and memory and intellect and travel. And in the sign of Taurus, it wants to slow down. It wants slow, practical, methodical, determined ways to connect from the spiritual realm to the earthly realm, to the material world. And it's you wanting to make these slow decisions that have to do with things that will grow over time, wanting time to think and process your ideas and your interactions with others, with things that you want to create or risks that you're willing to take at this time. Now, the first date that I want to talk about is May 17th. On May 17th, Mercury is going to be in a square with Pluto. Pluto is in your 2nd house of your cash, your property, your personal resources. The 2nd house is your finances, your movable property. It's really an important house because it has to do with your talents, your skill set, your income. It has to do with your spending goals. It's your belongings, your sensual pleasures. The 2nd house is all about what you need in order to feel safe and secure, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally. That's the house of what do you need. Now, Pluto is currently stationed retrograde, meaning it is going back over an area of your life saying, I need to get rid of this. I no longer need this. This does not support my growth. Pluto being the planet of transformation, in order for transformation to occur, something has to be cut, released, let go in order for there to be freedom of growth. The square represents an opportunity to integrate whatever you're letting go now can grow with where Mercury is. And so we know that you could be letting go of some of your possessions, like selling them off, or looking at your money and saying, I could invest it here. It's what am I doing with the things that I own, and how can I do better with them? What do I have to get rid of? What do I have to... It's your resources, it's your money, and it's in a trine to your career. So we know that this has something to do with you looking at all of your money, your resources, your expendables, and saying, do I put this here? Do I sell this off? Do I put this in a trust? What do I do with these things? What do I need in order to move forward? Because it's about your connection and your security of your mental and emotional and physical health and well-being. It's those topics blending together and having to integrate them in order to move forward with this transit. Then I want to draw your attention to the 27th. As we move forward to the 27th, I want you to take a look at your 6th house. You now have the Sun and Venus and Jupiter there, totally highlighting an area of your life that Mercury rules. That's why this is so important, because the Sun and Venus and Jupiter are offering this abundance, this like health and healing. And so it also is going to be connected to where do you want to travel, these classes that you want to take. Mercury is now in a harmonious aspect with Saturn. I love this because it's in a sextile. Sextile means both of these planets, they want to work together. You just have to connect the dots. Saturn is considered to be the taskmaster or the timekeeper of the zodiac. It says put in the time and do the work, and you can have these results that come from it. And so Saturn in Pisces in your 3rd house is, how are you communicating? This is your relationship with your siblings and your neighbors and your cousins and people that are close to you, like things that are close to your home. The 3rd house represents how do you formulate your thoughts and your language, and it's gathering information through the media or through conversation or through news or gossip or transformation, through transportation and science and technology. It's expanding the area of how you are getting the information and how are you sharing your thoughts and your ideas. Like, how are you sharing this with other people and reaching other people and making these connections. And so I love this in that it's two things that are working together, two planets that are working together, that says, if I build something that is stable, my communications, like who do I trust? How do I trust? And if I build this over a longer period of time, I will have less drama, less distraction. It will build up my money, my finances, my resources, my material items, because I need to be conservative with what I want to move forward with, and preferring traditional over overthinking some things. And so at this time, you're going to want definitely more of a traditional approach to the way that you communicate, where you get this information, where you are sharing it, letters, short journeys, in building your connections or building your relationships with other people. Then I want to draw your attention to May 31st. So on May 31st, we are going to have Mercury in a conjunction with the planet of Uranus. A conjunction means that both of the planets are now in the sky together, working together to magnify their energy, to really expand upon it. Now, remember that Mercury rules over your 6th house, and it rules over, I really need to travel there. I need to get this published. I want to dive into that religion, that spirituality. It's also the house of legal matters and publishing. And the 6th house represents needing to, like, the 6th house is where I go to get support from others to make sure that I'm doing things right. It's like guidance or advice. And it's how can I be of service to you? But I first have to take care of myself. And so Uranus is the great liberator. It's shock and surprise and unexpected and a stroke of genius. And Mercury, again, with your thoughts and your ideas and your communication. So this is like a lightning bolt shaking up where you have taken a risk, or where something that has to do with your children, or has to do with creative projects, or self-expression, or play, or joy and romance. And it's, I didn't know about this, or aha with this. It could bring somebody to you, a connection that could turn into like a love affair. It could be one of your children doing something that's unexpected or surprise, or an unexpected or surprised connection that has to do with a creative project that you are working on, like you creating something amazing and then it being seen by others in the outside world. All right, so Capricorn, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com. And please check out my new offering of Transit Talk webinars that I'm going to be offering once a month. You can find out information about that in the community section or on my website. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe. So for Aquarius Sun and Aquarius Rising, Mercury has now entered into your 4th house of home. This is the foundation of your life. It represents like genealogy, your past, your grandparents, anybody who lives in your home with you, your personal life, your ancestors. It represents your real estate. It's literally the foundation of which you build your home upon. It's your living situation, your family relationships, real estate, property. It's everything about like who is in your home or people who feel like family. Now, it's important because all of these planets, this is a huge stellium here, that we have Mercury and Venus and Uranus, the Sun and Jupiter, really having you concentrate on changes that have to do with this area of your life. Now, Mercury rules over your 5th house and it rules over your 8th house. Two important topics because all of these planets that are in your 4th house are going to slowly move into your 5th house of children, creativity, where you're willing to take a risk. The 5th house is love, and it's about romance and play and self-expression and hobbies. It's what you want to do for fun, joy, and pleasure, and connecting up with those people in order to make that happen. Now, Mercury also rules over your 8th house of your shared resources. The resources can be shared through business partners, significant others. It can be with clients, and it can also be with family members because it's the house of like deep psychological connections, deep psychological bonding that you have with others. So we know that the theme of Mercury is now going to be moving into those two areas of your life. Mercury governs our mind and communication and travel, memory, intellect, and in the sign of Taurus, your 4th house is about slow, practical, determined, and wanting solid, stable, beautiful home. This is what you are looking for. Connecting to the material world, wanting to make slow, methodical decisions, needing time to think and process everything that's going on, wanting to have this stable plan, interactions with others that are involve your home or your community. You want them to be purposeful with less drama and less distraction. Now, as we move forward, I want you to look at May 17th first. On May 17th, we now have Mercury. So we know that the theme, this is where we're moving towards. Mercury is now in a square with Pluto. So Pluto is the planet of birth, death, and rebirth. It's the planet of transformation. It is currently stationed retrograde, meaning it's going back over topics in your life that revolve around you, who you are, your self-worth, how people see you, your identity, your self-expression, your strengths, your habits, your outlook, you being seen, your defense mechanisms. I always say it's like your business card, your website. The first is the vibes that you give off to others. And it can be, because this is Mercury, you like your gestures. It's the way that you're communicating. So we know that this is a square. Something has to be removed. Something has to be cut away in order for you to move forward with an integration of building something better or stronger. So is this giving up a bad habit? Is this giving up something that has to do with, well, it has to do with you and your outlook and you being seen. So this could be turning over a new leaf with something. The first house being your health, your vitality, your strength, and your happiness. And Pluto saying, I have to transform me. Does that mean I have to give up this? I have to give up my connection with this? I have to be the one that has to transform. In order for there to be growth of a solid foundation of my home, it starts with me in order to grow the home. And then integrating that offers Mercury the ability to move forward. Then we look at May 27th. So on May 27th, we now take a look at Mercury, and I want to bring your attention to Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun now illuminating your fifth house of children and creativity and saying, all right, now I can focus on children or pleasure or joy. Or like the fifth house is not just investments and taking risks. The fifth house is what do I do on the weekends? What do I do that I can, it's a creative outlet for myself. Like, is it sewing or riding a motorcycle or an ATV or traveling? Like, what is it that I enjoy, and communicating that with others? So we know that the topic is now moved on and still is continuing on with the flavor or the theme. So now Mercury is in a sextile with Saturn. Saturn is in your second house of your self-worth, your cash, your property, your personal resources. It's your skill set. Saturn wants you to focus on your talents, your salary, your income, your opinions, your movable property. The second house represents who and what do I need in order to feel secure, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally secure. And a harmonious aspect means both of these planets are working together. You just have to activate the energy. Saturn, being the taskmaster, says, I have to do the work. If maybe I can make money with this project. Maybe I could save money by doing this myself. Or the second house represents your resources. What resources can I use for this project or for the way that I want to communicate this? And moving this forward with what brings me joy and pleasure, because you're wanting to connect this with creating a stable home life, because it's in a trine to your career, your job. You are wanting everything to be stable and reliable, and being slow to make these decisions and saying, I have to look at the opportunities, at what comes to me, and how do I use my personal resources in order to build something better. As we look at the next date on May 31st, we now have Uranus conjunct Mercury. A conjunction is when the two planets come together and they merge their energy, for it like magnifies it. So Mercury, remember, still ruling over your fifth house and your eighth house of your shared resources. And so we know that whatever's going on here, now we're going to have shock and surprise and think outside the box, because Uranus is the great liberator. I didn't think about that. I'm shocked by that. Uranus is like a lightning bolt, and Taurus is the earth. And so this is like something shaking up your home. Shock, surprise, information coming to you. This could be information coming about your home, your family, your personal life, your ancestors, something that has to do with your real estate, your property, or connecting you to something from your past. Shock. I just didn't know that. Where did that come from? Now, it's meant to be for liberation and freedom. And so that's where the connection of this is supposed to be moving forward with. So Aquarius, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer full moon and new moon astrology consultations. Also, check out my new offering of Transit Talk webinars that I'm going to be offering once a month. And you can visit willowgracemystic.com and to get updates as soon as they're released. Please subscribe. So for Pisces Sun and Pisces Rising, Mercury has now just entered your third house of communication. Mercury is very happy here. You also have a stellium. A stellium is when you have like 3 or more planets in an area that's concentrating the energy. So you have the Sun and Jupiter and Uranus and Venus and now Mercury. Mercury is like joining the Taurus party. Mercury governs your mind, your thoughts, your ideas, your communication. It's about travel and memory and intellect. And Taurus is like the bull, slow and steady. It's about being practical and determined in the ways that you communicate with siblings, neighbors, cousins, in the ways that you communicate with basic education and formulating your thoughts, your ideas through different language or media. The third house represents conversations and news and email and transformation and gossip, and bringing all of these topics in together with what you want to communicate. Now, Mercury rules over your fourth house. This is really important because all of these planets are going to move into your fourth house and take the theme or the flavor and bring it into topics of what is your foundation, what has to do with your personal life, your ancestors, your real estate, your property, your traditions. The fourth house has everything to do with your living situation, your family relationships. The fourth house has everything to do with your upbringing, your It's about your property and your real estate. The fourth house is the foundation in which you build your life upon, and everything that came before it, and then everything that you want to build upon it. So we know that all of these planets are going to take this flavor or this theme of these ideas into this house because Mercury rules this house. Mercury also rules over your seventh house of your significant other, your business partner, your clients, your one-on-one relationships, your best friends, your open enemies, and your exes. And so Mercury is tying in all of these topics this month, flavoring the things that you're going to be doing. So the very first trans that I want to bring to your attention is on May 17th. On May 17th, we're going to have Mercury, and it's going to be in a square to Pluto. Now, Pluto is stationed retrograde currently, having you go back, go within. The 12th house has to do with self-sabotage. It has to do with hospitalizations, institutions, subconscious mind, prisons. It has to do with going within. The positive that can come from the 12th house is my connection to the spiritual realm, ancestors, guides, the Akashic records, dreams, meditations, astral travel, astral projection. The 12th house has to do with severing and removing from those things. And so you have this deep connection to the divine because the 12th house offers us the deep journeys for the transcendence of the inner healing. And Pluto says, look, in order to transform, you have to let go. You have to cut and sever something and remove it because this is a square. Pluto wants you to let go in order to transform. A square says in order to integrate these energies, something has to be integrated. You cannot just blend them. It's air doesn't go well with the earth element here. And so what are you willing to let go of? Self-sabotage, hidden enemies, letting your past hold you back, self-isolation. The 12th house represents anything that you do alone that pulls you away from everyday life. And so you are the one that can cut that cord. You're the one that can sever it and say, I need to deal with my shadow self. I need to look at where I'm responsible for some of these things because I can transform and grow and evolve. I can bring these gifts and these talents that I have. I have this connection to the spiritual realm. When I sit and I meditate, it's not just about isolating myself. It's a connection. So then I want to move forward with May 27th. So on May 27th, we're going to have all of these planets, the Sun and Venus and Jupiter, now moving into and focusing on your home, your family, your foundation. And we have Mercury. Remember, Mercury is the ruler of this house, and we know it also is connected to partnership, significant other. Now, Mercury is in a harmonious aspect with Saturn. I love this because this has everything to do with you. Saturn is in your first house of self. This is your identity, who you are, how people see you. I always say it's like your business card or your website. The first house is your outlook, you being seen. It's your strength, your habits, your appearance, your interests, your image. And Saturn wants to build something that is longer lasting. And it's working in conjunction with Mercury in Taurus because Saturn is an earth sign and Taurus is Mercury is like thoughts and ideas in an earth sign. It's about your mind wanting to connect to your five senses and wanting to prefer traditional, tried and true approaches to new ways of thinking to move forward with. And how do I communicate this? Because it has to do with your finances and your money and self-sufficiency and your material items. And it's at your forefront of your mind. And it's you projecting this as like, how do I appear? How do I show up? And me saying, I can do this. I can connect to the earthly realm and the spiritual realm. I mean, you're a Pisces. Pisces water is like, it's the last sign of the Zodiac. And it is watery, intuitive, and it's always feeling everybody's feels. And so Saturn here is, I need to put some healthy boundaries around this, and I need to stretch myself and communicate with others that are within my circle. I need to get out there. I need to make these connections, and I want them to be purposeful with less drama, less distraction, and I want to bring about these interactions that foster healthy growth, not just for my home, but possibly for partnership. All right, so then as we move forward to the 31st, on the 31st, we now have Mercury conjunct Uranus. Now, Mercury, remember, ruling over home, partnership. Uranus is known as the Great Awakener. It is lightning, electricity. It is shock, surprise, stroke of genius. Now, Mercury is the way that you talk, the way that you communicate, who you're communicating with. So at this point, there might be definitely something that has like, you cannot expect it. It's I didn't even see that coming. You can never plan on what Uranus is going to do with where Uranus is at. So we know that there's going to be something that's shocking, something that's surprising, that's a think outside the box, that has to do with the way that you're communicating. This could be a connection with somebody through, I say airwaves because it's the internet, something that has to do with technology or science. This could be through email, phone, text, because the third house is how you talk and exchange ideas with others. And this could be offering you an opportunity to build relationships, and where you formulate your thoughts and your language in order for you to connect with others, where you talk and exchange. It's the house where we give and take ideas, and this could be somebody that you're connected with, or shock and surprise that they are thinking the same things or like on the same wavelength as you, like a chance meeting of sorts. So Pisces, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Please join me live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I offer new moon and full moon astrology consultations. For private consultation, you can schedule that at willowgracemystic.com. And I hope you check out my new offering of Transit Talks, webinars that they're going to be offered once a month on a Tuesday evening. You can get updates on those at the website or in the community section. And to get updates as soon as they're released, please subscribe.